Have you ever wondered how just 1 hour a day could change your entire future? Most teens think success comes from being born smart, but this story proves otherwise. Once upon a time, there was a boy named Ethan Brooks, a regular high schooler. He wasn't failing, but he was nowhere near the top either. In fact, there was one student everyone admired, Lucas Green. Lucas was the genius of their grade. Straight A's, always raising his hand, teachers bragging about him. Ethan couldn't help but feel invisible, sitting 2 rows behind him, barely keeping up with assignments. One day, after another disappointing test score, Ethan slumped into his room, tossing his backpack aside. He thought about giving up, maybe settling for average forever. But then, scrolling on his phone, he stumbled on a short video that said, 1 hour of focused study every day will make you unstoppable. At first, he laughed. 1 hour? That can't change anything. But that night, he set a timer for 60 minutes, sat at his desk, and opened his notebook. No distractions, no phone, just him, the book, and the clock. It felt strange at first, time dragged. His mind wandered, but as the minutes ticked by, something clicked. He wasn't trying to outdo Lucas, he was just keeping a promise to himself. When the alarm finally rang, he closed the book and whispered, "That's 1 hour. Tomorrow, I'll do it again." Ethan didn't know it yet, but that single decision, the choice to study 1 hour each day, was about to flip his entire world upside down. The next morning, Ethan felt the same as always, tired, half awake, dragging his feet through the hallways of school. But when the teacher handed out a pop quiz, something different happened. The questions didn't look as impossible as they usually did. He still struggled, sure, but for the first time, he recognized patterns from the notes he reviewed last night. His pencil moved with more confidence. When the grades came back the following day, he didn't score an A like Lucas, but he wasn't at the bottom either. His paper had a bright B marked on it. Ethan couldn't remember the last time he'd seen anything higher than a C. "Not bad," Lucas said casually as he walked past Ethan's desk, glancing at the paper. "Guess you studied harder than usual." Lucas meant it as a compliment, but to Ethan, it felt like fuel. If 1 hour got me this far, what could 1 week do? So Ethan kept at it. Every night at 8 p.m. sharp, he set his timer, turned off his phone, and gave his full focus to just one subject. Some nights felt boring, his mind begging him to quit, but he pushed through. By the end of the second week, something wild happened. He started answering questions in class, not always perfectly, but enough for his teacher, Mrs. Parker, to raise her eyebrows in pleasant surprise. "Ethan, that's correct," she said one morning, smiling. The whole class turned in shock. Ethan, the boy who usually sat quiet at the back, had just beaten Lucas to the answer. Whispers floated around, and even Ethan felt a spark of pride. It was small, barely noticeable compared to Lucas's brilliance. But for Ethan, it was proof. His 1 hour plan was working. The seed had been planted, and every night of study was watering it. By the third week, Ethan's routine became a rhythm. At first it was clumsy, but now it felt natural. 1 hour every night. No excuses. He didn't tell anyone about it. Not even his best friend Ryan, who kept asking, "Dude, why aren't you online anymore at night?" Ethan just shrugged it off with a smile. Inside, though, he felt himself changing. The real shift came during math class. Mrs. Parker announced a surprise challenge. Whoever solves this equation first gets extra credit. Normally, all eyes would dart to Lucas, and, as expected, his hand shot up almost instantly. But before Mrs. Parker could call on him, Ethan scribbled furiously, numbers lining his paper. His heart raced. Come on, I reviewed this exact formula last night." Then his hand shot into the air. "I've got it," he blurted out, almost shocking himself. The class went silent. Mrs. Parker walked over, looked at his work, and nodded with pride. "Correct, Ethan. Well done." For the first time ever, Lucas wasn't first. He forced a smile, But Ethan noticed the slight clench of his jaw. Word spread quickly. "Ethan beat Lucas in math today," students whispered in the cafeteria. Some laughed, thinking it was a fluke. But over the next few days, Ethan kept proving it wasn't luck. His answers grew sharper, his confidence bolder. He wasn't beating Lucas at everything, but he was closing the gap fast. Lucas started paying attention now. He'd glance at Ethan during lessons, his cool confidence flickering. And Ethan? He didn't feel like the invisible boy anymore. His 1 hour a night had turned into a quiet revolution. But deep down, he knew this was only the beginning. The real test, the one that would either prove his effort or crush his progress, was coming soon. The midterm exams. The day of the midterm exams arrived like a storm. Students shuffled nervously into the classroom, clutching pencils and whispering formulas under their breath. Lucas, as always, looked calm, his backpack neatly organized, his posture straight. Ethan, on the other hand, felt his stomach twist. But there was something different in his eyes, determination. When the papers landed on their desks, Ethan took a deep breath. For months, he would have panicked at the sight of so many tough questions. But now, he recognized them. Each problem looked familiar, echoes of the 1 hour study sessions that had quietly sharpened his mind night after night. He wrote steadily, his hand moving with surprising speed. Around him, the classroom buzzed with groans and sighs. But Ethan stayed locked in. At one point, he glanced up and caught Lucas glancing back at him, brows furrowed. For the first time, Ethan realized Lucas wasn't racing through the exam with the same effortless speed. The sight lit a fire inside him. "I can do this. I'm not the same Ethan anymore." Hours later, when the results came out, the entire class crowded around the board. Gasps filled the hallway. At the very top of the list, two names sat side by side. Lucas Green, 94%, and Ethan Brooks, 94%. A tie. The school had never seen anyone come that close to Lucas, let alone match him. Students clapped Ethan on the back, some even chanting his name. Ryan nearly tackled him with excitement. "Bro, you're a legend." Ethan's face turned red, but he couldn't stop smiling. Lucas walked up, his expression unreadable. Then he extended his hand. "Looks like I finally got competition." Ethan shook it firmly, realizing something important. Lucas hadn't been his enemy, his own doubt had. And now, for the first time in his life, he had defeated it. But this was only the midterms. The real test was still ahead. The buzz from the midterm tie spread across the school like wildfire. Ethan, once invisible, was now the name on everyone's lips. Teachers nodded at him in the hallway. Classmates asked for help on homework, and Ryan never stopped bragging about him. But for Ethan, the biggest change wasn't the attention, it was how he felt inside. That quiet, heavy doubt that used to drag him down was gone. In its place stood confidence built from one simple habit: 1 hour a day. Still, he knew he couldn't relax. The final exams were coming, and this time, there would be no ties. Each night, Ethan sat at his desk. Phone turned off, timer set. 1 hour stretched into 2 sometimes. Not because he forced it, but because he had grown to enjoy the process. The boy, who once hated studying, now found pride in it. When finals ended, the results left no room for doubt. Ethan Brooks, 97%. Lucas Green, 95%. For the first time, the genius had been overtaken. Lucas didn't sulk, he smiled. "You earned it, Ethan. Maybe you're the real genius after all." Ethan shook his head. "No, I'm just proof that effort beats talent when talent doesn't give effort." That night, Ethan lay in bed staring at the ceiling, his report card on the nightstand. He thought back to the very first night, the moment he set the timer for just 1 hour. It had seemed small then, almost meaningless, but now he knew the truth. The small things, done daily, build into greatness. And so, Ethan's story leaves us with a powerful reminder. You don't need to be the smartest in the room to change your future. You don't need 10 hours a day or superhuman memory. All it takes is one decision, repeated daily, without excuses. 1 hour of focus can turn ordinary into extraordinary. So the question is, what will your 1 hour change?